couple. Okay, that's good. Anyway, for those of you who have not, my name is Rick. I'm from Creature Teachers. Today we brought reptiles. And we will be here at the end of the month as well. And we will have other things besides reptiles. The only thing today that we have that's not a reptile is the spider and the bird. And the only reason that the bird is with us is because she goes everywhere with me. So you may remember her. You may remember her. Her name is Zima. And I will start off with hers to let you know a little bit about her. First of all, she's a rescue. So what happened with her is that somebody left her in a house and just left. And she was there a week without any food or water.
Aww.
And what happened was a bank that was dealing with this foreclosure called us up and they said, hey, the people in the neighborhood are complaining that there's noises coming out of the house. So can you go over and check it out? I know that they had some animals there. So we went over and we knocked on the door and we heard somebody say, hi. So we said, oh, hi, how are you? Listen, I didn't think anybody was here. Can you tell me why you're still in the house? And then we didn't hear anything. So we knocked again and we heard, hi. And the second time we heard hi, we realized that it was a bird. So we opened up the door and there was Zima with 40 other birds. 40! People left and they left all their birds there. So
That's
now
a lot
we
of
have
birds.
to collect up all these birds and bring them back to my house. And I don't have room for 40 birds at my house. I mean, I had a bird building, but I couldn't put those birds in with my birds because I didn't know if they had any disease or anything. So the first thing we had to do was find out if they were okay. So we packed them all up and we brought them to my house and we put them in my daughter's room. She was in college at the time and we called her and said, don't bother coming home for a while. And there they sat. And the first one we were concerned about was Zima because she did a couple of things. She said, hi, in that wonderful sweet voice, and then she would cough. You gonna cough? Like, there you go. Okay. So she would cough. And the first time we heard it, we thought, oh my goodness, she is, she needs to get to the vet. So off to the vet we went. He listened to her. He smiled. He said, Rick, she's not coughing. She's mimicking or copying a human cough. And so we found out, we talked to the bank, and the bank said, oh, there was a woman who lived there, and she was a heavy smoker. So because she coughed a lot, Zima would copy her cough. So that's how she got her name. It's short for emphysema because she's coughing all the time. And she is an absolute wonderful bird. And what I'll do is I'll walk around with her. If you'd like to pet her, you may. We do have a lot of animals we want to get to, so if you can do it, make it somewhat quick, and you'll see just how nice she is with everybody. She loves people.
Go subscribe to this guy.
Yep. And normally what I would do is put her back in her carrier. Would you like to try it? There you go, very gently. Yes, indeed. So, normally with her, we put her back in her carrier. Sometimes she's good, sometimes she's not. If she is not, we might have to take her out and hand her to somebody to control her. The only problem with her right now is that I have not trimmed her toenails, and I'm silently sitting here going, ow, 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 because they are pretty sharp. Yep.
This is gonna be my one long video for like 2 months.
She'll climb onto you and then I'll never get her back again. And everybody that sees her goes, oh my
Yeah, that was exciting, huh?
Don't be surprised if she's missing when you leave. Yep. And I always say, yeah, give me a week before you beg me to take her back. She can be very noisy. She requires a whole lot of attention. She is now about 10 years old, and she can live to be 80 years old. So when you get a bird like this, it's 80 years old.
Yeah, big birds like that can live a long time. You know what? No, a big bird like that one can live a really long time.
Hold on. Dude, say what your YouTube channel is.
Jeremiah Griffin Gaming.
Okay.
Subscribe.
Yes, go subscribe to this guy because he subscribed to me. Cool. Prepare to gain like 20 subscribers.
And she's very soft. A lot of time when you go to pet her, she lifts her wing up. She wants you to pet her underneath the wing.
Oh, she is.
Just like how I did.
Soft.
She wants you to pet her under the wing like I did.
Now, she was born in captivity. We know this. And it's actually one of the things that we try and do. Some of the reptiles we have are not born in captivity, but most of the animals that we have, we want to make sure that they're born in captivity because we don't like to take animals out of the wild for so many reasons. But mostly because we feel that every animal has a job to do, and if we take them out of the wild, they're not there to do their job. For instance, if she were a wild bird, her job would be dispersing seeds. She would go into the forest, she would eat some fruit, she would fly 5 miles away, she would poop, and she would disperse the fruit somewhere else. So, that is her job. So if birds weren't in the forest, if animals weren't in the forest, it would not be a very healthy forest. 70% of the seeds in any environment get moved around by animals. So that's why it's so incredibly important that we leave wild animals in the wild. All right, you can behave yourself? Yes? No, probably not. We'll give it a shot here. In you go. Okay. Now, let's talk reptiles. Okay, there are 5 different groups of reptiles. Anybody know them? Well, snakes for one, right?
Yay, snakes.
Lizards for another
I
one.
love snakes.
Crocodilians, which are the crocodiles and alligators and things like that. Turtles, somebody said turtles.
Crocodiles.
And there's one other one that most people are not aware of, and that is a tuatara. Tuataras are a very strange lizard-looking animal that comes from New Zealand, and they're their own group of reptiles, so it's pretty weird to see. Now, some people consider some of the legless lizards and stuff their own group of reptiles too, but when I was growing up, there were only 5. So, what do you want to start with? You want to start with, let's start with turtles. Who likes turtles? Okay. What I brought today are all local turtles, and there are all kinds of bizarre turtles from all over the world, but the ones we brought today are very common and things that you probably have seen. And the first one that I like to start with is one that we did indeed take out of the wild, because when I found this thing, it was October, and this was a turtle about this big crossing the road. I don't even know how I saw it, but I stopped and I picked it up and I said, there's no way that this turtle is going to survive in the wild. So we took it home, we kept it, and I said, oh, I'll keep it over the winter and then I'll let it go. We kept it over the winter and it got so used to us and it got so incredibly tame that we decided to keep it for an ambassador, and we've had it for 3 years now. And it's kind of a cool turtle. And I'm sure this time of year
Snaping
especially
turtle.
that you've seen these crossing the road. So somebody want to tell me what kind of a turtle this is? It is indeed a snapping turtle. Now,
It's a snapping
you may be sitting
turtle.
there going, how is it that you're touching this thing, especially so close to his head? Remember,
He was a
we got him
sniper.
when he was this big. Snapping turtles really don't have a nasty disposition. But if you think about this turtle is very aquatic. It's going to spend 99% of its time in the water and usually underwater. Even if you're canoeing and you're out there and you see a snapping turtle, you generally don't see them sunning themselves on the beach or on a log. What you're going to see is just the tip of his nose sticking out of the water. And when I was a kid and I used to go turtle collecting, I would watch for them. And the way I knew it was a snapping turtle is because when its head went underwater, it went really slowly. Any other turtle would go whoop and take off. Snapping turtles go, I got nothing to worry about. And down they would put their head. So that's how I could tell it was a snapping turtle. But we rarely see these on land. We generally are going to see them in the water. Okay, guys, what we're going to have to do is have you move over. Okay, can you move over this way? Yep.
Move.
You can move either way, but we want to leave this aisle open, okay?
I'll show you how to throw.
Okay.
It goes like slow.
Right, they are very slow.
Yep.
Okay. But
Yeah.
this thing has a head, and you see how the size of the neck here. It's got a very long neck, and the way they would eat would be to kind of wait for something to swim by them, and then the neck goes flying out and grabs it. It's incredibly fast, too, so they can cause some problems. But, once again, if you see them, I've seen these underwater and never, ever had them come near me. They're more scared of me, they're just going to take off. But think about this thing crossing over the land. When it is out of the water, it feels extremely vulnerable. And so that is why they are so aggressive when they're out of the water. And they're not going to run after you, but they are going to pull their head in and keep it right there. And if you were to come too close to them, they might lunge out and try and snap you. And I'll tell you something, that is a very, very strong jaw. So why would we see them out of the water? They're very aquatic, but lots of times we see these guys crossing the road. What are they doing?
Moving their
It's usually a female going to find a place to lay its eggs. And they need sandy soil, so the sandy soil on that side of the road is always better than the sandy soil on that side of the road. So they get to the edge of the road and they cross the road, and that's where they feel extremely vulnerable. So you may see one on the road, and you may say, oh, I got to get this turtle across the road, so you stop. And now you realize this is a snapping turtle. How am I going to get this thing across the road? The best thing to do is to leave them alone and let them get across the road. The big problem is once you get out of your car and they see you there, they're going to try and hide from you. So they're going to pull their head in, they're going to just sit there rather than move across the road. Well, if you can wait, they'll get across the road eventually. But if there's a lot of traffic, you probably want to help them along. So the easiest thing to do is see if you can find a stick or something and just push them across the road. And you may find one that's quite large. This one's 3 years old. They can live to be 50. They can get to be about 35 pounds and really big. So anyway, if that doesn't work, if you've got so much traffic that you absolutely have to pick this turtle up, here's how you're going to do it. You're not going to put your hands like this. You would normally pick a turtle up like this. Problem with this is your hands are right there. Remember how long this neck is? They can swing right back and grab your hands. So you don't want to do that. You do not want to pick them up by the tail. If you were to look at the inside of the shell on this turtle, it would look like a spine. And the reason it looks like a spine is because that's really what it is. A turtle shell is a modified backbone. And so we see that on the inside. That means the tail here is attached with a bone. And if you were to pick it up by the tail, just the weight of the turtle could do damage to the turtle. Think about this thing getting to be about 35 pounds. That's a lot of pressure on this bone here. And I've seen turtles that couldn't use their hind legs because people picked them up by the tail. So the way you're going to want to do it is to take your hand and put it right here on the shell on both sides, just like this. Now this turtle can he can kick with his feet, and his feet are going to go right by your hands. Your thumbs are far enough back where he's not going to be able to come swing back and get you. And now you can lift this up and you can bring it across the road and put it on the other side of the road. And always do that. If the turtle is on this side of the road but facing in that direction, you may say, oh, well, I'm just going to turn it around here. So you do that. And you take this turtle and you turn him around. You know what he does? He goes, I was going that way, thank you very much. And he's going to turn right back around and he's going to cross the road. So you want to always bring them in the direction that they were headed. And then they're going to go and find themselves some sandy soil, dig a hole and lay their eggs. And then find the stream again. So we do see them dead on the road, but not to the extent that we see a lot of other turtles. If you think about this, this is a very, very common turtle. And they don't just eat fish and tadpoles and frogs and ducks and things like that. They actually eat a lot of vegetable material too, which I didn't know till a friend of mine said to me, he has one too, and he said, oh, do you ever give yours cranberries? I thought, cranberries? He said, oh, I give mine cranberries for a treat. And then I thought, you know what? Cranberries float to the surface. Obviously, there's snapping turtles in cranberry bogs. That'd be a great treat for him. I started giving mine cranberries, and now he's like, wants cranberries all the time. So we have to be careful with how many cranberries we give him. But anyway, I will probably raise this guy up until, he's 50 years old and see just how big he can get. He's been with us for 3 years now, and like I said, he's grown from just that little turtle like that. And we did bring some other common turtles and some uncommon turtles with us today. So let me show you the ones that are fairly common. And I want to show you why I brought these two. Yeah, right? Okay. All right. What we have here is probably the most common turtle that you see in this area. I don't even remember where this one came from. Somebody gave it to me. I'm sure it was wild caught. What is it? Anybody? It's a painted turtle, yeah. This is your common eastern painted turtle, probably the most common turtle you see. So snapping turtles can be just as common as these, but they're always going to be much more aquatic. These, you can look at a log out there in a pond and you're going to see 20 or 30 of these hanging out on the log. And then, if you scare them, what do? Pop down into the water, off they go. This is a really cool turtle, and if you look at it, it's well built. It is dark on the back and light on the belly. And it has some color on it as well. But that dark back,
What's that sound?
I think I'm chirping here. Wait a minute. Sorry.
I noticed you had
a
a
show,
leather
call you back.
ivy over there. I just
My
saw
wife.
the first.
Bring home some cream. All right.
I need leather.
Anyway, the dark back and light belly is something that we oftentimes see in aquatic animals. If you think about a lot of the fish that you see in the open ocean, a lot of them are very dark blue on the back and very light on the belly. And if you think about it, it's perfect camouflage. If you're flying over a water and you look down, it's dark, right? It's reflecting down, and you see that dark color. So, anything on the back is going to camouflage. If you're a bass and you're swimming underneath the turtle and you look up, you're going to see the light color of the top, and that's going to help to camouflage it as well. We see this a lot with aquatic animals. But the dark back is also helpful because this is a cold-blooded animal. Being a cold-blooded animal, it has to, what's known as thermoregulate. It's got to be able to warm up and cool down because it can't make its body temperature like we do. So if it's too cold, it's going to want to warm up. It sits in the sun. And dark colors absorb heat better. So this guy can sit there on that log, absorb all the heat it needs to, and if it gets too warm, it splashes down into the water. That's another reason for this nice dark back. This is the turtle we see around us. But I brought another one today, too. We want to talk about this. And that is this one. And anybody that's ever bought a turtle at a pet shop probably recognizes this. This is a red-eared slider. These are a very common turtle south of us. But they become the turtle of choice for the pet shops. So when you buy one of these things, you used to be able to go down to Petco and for, I don't know, maybe 20 bucks or so, you could buy one of these turtles. Now you cannot. 2 years ago, they made them illegal. Not for the reason that you would think. I couldn't figure it out. I got the stuff from Fisheries and Wildlife, and it said red-eared sliders are now illegal in the state of Massachusetts. And I thought, wow, they were a super common turtle. Why would they make them illegal? Well, it's not because they're not common. It's because they're too common. And it's because of climate change. It's now warm enough in our area for these turtles to survive. And people are buying them. They get too big for them. They get sick of them. They let them go. And now we have breeding colonies of red-eared sliders here in Massachusetts. Because of that, they're forcing out native species. So this has now become an invasive in our state. That's why they've made them illegal. And it's not, you can't really blame anybody for this too. The person who gave us this particular turtle called me up and said, I have a turtle, it's getting too big for us, we can't really keep it anymore, we want to donate it to you. So I said, okay, what is it? And they told me, and I said, can I have a permit for one? I said, yes, I'll take it. So she brought it to me, and she said, we've had it since it was a baby, it's really a nice turtle. Matter of fact, we're just going to go down and let it go. They didn't think that it would be a problem. Who would? But that's the problem that happens is people aren't doing it to be malicious or anything like that. They just don't know how much of a problem something like this can cause. So this is an invasive. And we have two other reptiles today that are invasives in the United States that we're going to talk about. Well, let me get this guy back. These guys are common, but I also have a couple here that are uncommon.
What is uncommon?
Uncommon means there aren't that many of them.
What is that?
Well, let's find out.
I don't know.
Ta-da! One of my favorites, by the
I
way.
like turtles.
Now, I heard somebody say tortoise. Who said tortoise? Yeah, tortoise, right? Okay, so we look at it, we go, yep, it's a tortoise. It's got a high shell. It lives on land. But here's the thing. I always thought that if it lived on land, it was a tortoise. This is actually a pond turtle. It's considered a pond turtle. It's in the group of pond turtles, but it doesn't live in water. It lives exclusively on land. This is what's known as an eastern box turtle. And if you go down to Florida, they're very common.
I've seen those in the wild.
There's room down there for them, and they don't have to hibernate. And there are some places in Massachusetts where there are pretty good colonies of them. Out on the Cape, surprisingly enough, there are quite a few of these. But I have never seen one of these in the wild in Massachusetts. We have 2 of them. And they were given to us by State Fisheries and Wildlife because they know that we do these educational programs and we have to get a special permit for them and everything. They are a really neat turtle. I love the color on them. They are primarily vegetarian, but not all. Lots of times these guys will eat slugs and earthworms and things like that. Matter of fact, they go crazy over earthworms when they have them. But does anybody happen to know why you call this a box turtle?
Because they live in boxes.
They have kind of a box-like shell. But if you look at the bottom of their shell, can you see there's a line right there goes across?
Yes.
That line isn't just really a line, it's actually a hinge. Remember, this turtle is not aquatic. And that is top speed for a box turtle. So, if another animal decides it wants to eat it, it's got to have a good way to get away. Not going to run away, that's for sure. Because I'm no speed demon, but I know I can catch that. So if I'm a raccoon or something, that guy's got trouble, right? So a raccoon comes up and he grabs him. And if he's scared of the raccoon, here's what he's going to do. His head's going to go inside, his feet are going to go inside, and his shell can close up like this. And I've seen these guys with shoe marks all over them. And a big smile on their face. Because they were smart enough to go inside the shell and close the shell. Now the back can do it too, but this one's a little bit chunky and has a hard time getting into its shell. Doesn't have to worry too much about raccoons, so it's put on the pounds. I think that's my problem too. I don't worry about raccoons either. Okay. Pretty cool. So, with this wonderful way to protect itself, why would these guys be in so much trouble? Why are they endangered in Massachusetts? Well, twofold.
Humans.
One of them is because we don't have a lot of places for them to live. They need a wide area. They also need to hibernate, and that really cuts down on populations of turtles like this too. But the real reason is the same as that, say, snapping turtle. That snapping turtle has to worry about getting across the road. But the snapping turtle's only doing that one time a year. Goes down, lays its eggs, comes back again. These guys are out all the time. They're terrestrial turtles. And so they have to worry about getting hit by cars.
So humans,
That is what
I was
happened
right.
with this one. He got hit by a car. We call him Lucky. We've had him for 5 years now. And he has really kind of maintained this. Fortunately, just this back end broke off, but you can see where the crack goes all the way up to here. So this is a very, very fortunate turtle that it survived that. You also might notice with him that he's much darker than the other ones. I'm not sure where these turtles came from, but this one is what's known as melanistic. It's got a lot more pigment in it than most of the turtles would. And I really kind of think they're cool. But one of the reasons that we have the other one is...
Yeah, I hear that fire truck.
It's smoky down there. It looks smoky.
They don't have a intense enough database to know where this turtle would come from. In other words, they couldn't take DNA and say, oh, this came from Eastham, Massachusetts or something. So what happened is somebody brought this in. They said, I found this in my backyard. And they went, oh, great. Because they do wind up selling these as pets. They'll collect them in Florida, they'll bring them up here, and they will sell them as pets. Massachusetts, you can't do that. But people go up to New Hampshire, they buy them in the pet stores, and then down here in Massachusetts, now they've got this thing, they don't know what to do with it, so a lot of times they let it go. Big problem with that, even though it's an eastern box turtle, and we get eastern box turtles here, it's an eastern box turtle from Florida. And the gene pool is totally different. The ones down there do not hibernate. So if this turtle breeds with the ones up here, it's going to mess up the gene pool. So that's why Fisheries and Wildlife gave it to me. It could be from around here, but they didn't know that, and they didn't want to run the risk of it introducing a bad gene pool. All right. Okay. Enough about turtles. Let's see what else we have. How about
Spider.
snakes? Snakes?
Snake. Snake.
Bearded
Snake.
dragon?
I want to hold the snake.
Well, let's do lizards first, okay?
Okay.
All right, lizards.
When that snake comes around, you best believe I'm gonna be holding it. At least a little bit.
Really, really common lizard. This is a bearded dragon. And probably one of the most common, you go into Petco, they probably got a cage there with 20 or 30 of them in it. Little baby ones. They're more than happy to sell you for, I don't know, 40 bucks or whatever. They're very common now, and the reason for that is they don't get too big. This is full grown. And they're easy to handle. They're easy to feed, easy to take care of. And that's why a lot of people have them as pets. But because so many people have them as pets, what happens is a lot of times kids will get them. They think they're the coolest thing until, I don't know, 6 months goes by. Now they want to play basketball. And now mom's taking care of the lizard. And so we get a lot of phone calls. Hey, you want this lizard? So probably about once every couple of weeks we wind up getting somebody that offers us a bearded dragon. So that's where this one came from. So people ask me how old it is. I don't really know because it was a rescue. But they are pretty cool. And originally this would be from Australia. So you're going to find these in the desert areas of Australia. There's a lot of desert areas in Australia. And if we look at it, we can see that it would be perfect for that area. It's very sandy colored, so it's going to blend in. So what do you call it when something blends in? What's the name for that?
Camouflage, camouflage.
And he also has a couple of ways to protect himself. Once again, he can move if he wants to. But I found that there's really not a whole lot going on upstairs here, and they don't really take off. So they kind of hang out, and that's what he'll do. Sometimes I call them Velcro lizards because they'll just stick to you and they'll just hang on like that. So that's what makes them so nice, though, because they're quite handleable. They're not going to take off on you, and usually they're not going to try and bite you or anything like that. So they do have prickles all over them. And if you see how prickly they really are, that is a way to protect themselves. Something comes up and tries to bite them, they get a mouthful of those prickles. Now, can I get somebody to help me with something? You want to help me? Come on. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to... All right. Okay. We're gonna get him to bite your chin and hang off there, okay? No, we're not. What we're gonna do is have you pet him. So what I want you to do is pet him from the front to the back like that. Okay.
He's really
Is he prickly? He is prickly. Now try and pet him from the back to the front. Oh, your hand gets stuck, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why? Because all of his scales lay backwards like this, and there's a reason for that too. Something's sneaking up behind him. Gonna try and bite him. Goes, ow, ow, and it gets stuck on him, and so he's not going to want to eat that, is he? Would you want to eat this if you didn't? No. But they also use their tail in a way that is kind of weird. You'd think that they would use their tail to smack you with it, right? I don't know. That's not going to do too much damage, is it? No. So, let's say you're an animal. You sneak up behind him. He doesn't see you. He's looking forward. And you go, oh, look at that. There's lunch right there. You're going to grab him the first place you see, right? Where's that? His tail. You grab his tail.
Oh, his tail separates.
He goes, ah, and he runs away. When he does, his tail breaks off. Now, there's all kinds of nerves in his tail, and now his tail's flopping all over the place like this. And you're fighting with his tail. Dun, 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 dun. You know what he's doing? He's running away. He gets far enough away, he stops. He goes, I made it, but now I don't have a tail. So what happens? Grows a new tail.
Wow, fun fact. Cool, educational channel now.
Questions are, how long does it take to grow back? And how many times can they regenerate their tail? They can regenerate the tail a number of times. Depends on the lizard, and it depends on where it breaks. I have found that if it breaks up here, it regenerates much faster than if it breaks way down here. I don't know why, but it does. And I saw the coolest thing. I was in Belize one time, and I saw a lizard that had 2 tails. Apparently what happened with it was the tail broke off about here. It broke to the side, but didn't break completely off. And another tail grew right next to it. So it had 2 tails. Coolest lizard I've ever seen. All right. All right. So that's one lizard. I have another lizard. You want to see the other one too?
Yeah.
Okay, this one's pretty cool.
Well, we gotta go for spider.
This one requires gloves. Let's see.
Oh, it's a big boy lizard. It's a big boy Lizzie. Lizziard.
You know it can't be good when you gotta put gloves on like this, right?
Do you use those gloves for hawks ever? Whoa, that guy looks
Those
epic.
Who look, no, come on, he's not that big. This is the
He's
strongest
rare.
lizard I have ever held in my hand. It is called a tegu, or a
Look,
black
it's a
and white
rare,
tegu.
epic, shiny
Now, you
Pokemon.
might notice a few things different with him than that other lizard we had. The one thing that you might notice is he sticks his tongue out at you. What's he doing? Is he just being rude when he sticks his tongue out? He's actually smelling, and we know there's another animal that does that too. What other
Snakes.
animal?
Snakes.
Now here's the thing.
I owned one, I know.
You may not know this, but lizards and snakes are very closely related. You would think that lizards would be more closely related to things like crocodiles and alligators, because they got 4 legs and a tail. Turns out that these guys are more closely related to snakes.
Well, their skin
And
feels the same.
Not all lizards have that long tongue that's forked, but these guys do. And another one that you may remember, you may know about, does, and that is the Komodo dragon. Okay, which he looks a lot like. I'm telling you, you can't believe how strong this thing is. You know.
Can we pet it?
Okay, can we pet it? No, you can give him a kiss on the nose. Okay. And these are very much like those monitor lizards, like the Komodo dragons, and they use their tongue for the same reason a snake does. They
A dog in the wild.
has a Jacobson's organ. It is on the inside top of their mouth, and what happens is they stick their tongue out, it's forked, it wiggles around, it picks up particles of the air, it goes back into his mouth, goes up into the Jacobson's organ, and lets them know what's going on around them. They smell with their tongue. This is so important for an animal like a Komodo dragon, for instance. Komodo dragons, as big as they are, eat things even bigger than they are. They will eat sheep, they will eat deer, and they will even eat water buffalo. But they're not going to be able to kill a water buffalo right away. So what they do, they go up and they bite the water buffalo. 2 things happen. Bye.
Bye.
2 things happen. First of all, they have so much bacteria in their mouth that the water buffalo initially winds up getting an infection. You know, these guys eat birds too. Zima, knock it off. Okay. But they just recently, within the last
She's
couple
jealous.
of years, found
She's
that
jealous.
they have venom as well. They have venom sacs in their mouth. So you get a 1-2 punch when you get bitten by a Komodo dragon. But what happens is now that water buffalo takes off. And it can go quite a ways in a week. That's about how long it's going to take him to die. Komodo dragons will follow them. Komodo dragons can smell that animal up to 6 miles away. That's why it's so important. Zima, are we going to have to take you out? Okay. So, these guys aren't from
I
the same
think
place
she's
that a
jealous.
Dragon is. These guys are from South America. But believe it or not, we were talking before about invasives and how that turtle wasn't invasive. Right here is another one. South Florida has a problem with black and white tigers. Yeah. And so people have them in their backyard. And when they do, Fluffy the cat may go missing. These guys will eat things like house pets. So in South Florida, there are people that go around and just collect these guys up. But what they're doing with them now is they're collecting them and they're selling them in the pet trade.
This is gonna be
That's
my
what
longest
caused
video
the problem
ever.
in South Florida in the first place. People got them as pets. They wanted to let them go. They could survive, and now they're breeding populations of them. So I don't know for a fact, but I think that's probably where this one came from. I doubt very much that it was born in captivity. I think it was probably caught in South Florida. Just by virtue of the fact that he's so mean, makes me think that he was wild caught. And they've been about 3 times this size, too. So they will get really, really large. Okay. Oh. Zima, how about if I put you in the box with this guy? Okay.
Very angry bird.
Yeah.
Ah! Ah! Ah!
Let me close this guy up. Now I think we should do snakes, don't you?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do this. Let's do snackers. Snacks. I love snacks. Holy cripes!
Okay. We need some of the really small kids right up front. He's not gonna bite anybody. Actually, it's a she.
Yay!
She's not hungry. She ate 3 kids yesterday, so. Did not. She only ate 1. Let's see how big she is. Whoa, the tail down here. Okay. This is a rather large snake. All right, let's leave her for a second and let her kind of move around a little bit. And see if we can
I am
figure
shaking
out
with
what
excitement.
kind of snake this is. Any ideas?
No. She's ready to python.
Red tail, it's not a ball, but they look
I know,
a
it's
lot
very
like it,
python.
okay? If we look, we'd see
Reticulated.
And they could get this big. The red tail would have more of a rusty colored tail. So, it is a big snake. Absolutely.
I want to hold
I will
it.
give you a hint.
I want to hold it.
This
It's bigger than I am, and I want to hold
is
it.
a big problem in South Florida.
It's about 5 times the size of me, and I want to hold it.
And Burmese pythons are the ones that are the real big problems in South Florida. And again, it was the pet industry. What happened is people wound up letting these guys go. And usually what happens is they aren't really, nobody really pays any attention to them until they're a real big problem. And once they become a real big problem, there's not a lot they can do about them. That's what happened with this. Burmese pythons were kept as pets until they got like this size. Mom says, "What are you doing with that snake? Get it out of the house." So if you live in South Florida, you bring it out to the backyard and you let it go. And when you let it go, it now can survive. And that's what's happened. There are now breeding populations of these in South Florida. And believe it or not, it's such a big problem. They're changing the ecosystem. These guys will eat all kinds of animals, including alligators. And they will eat mostly things that are mid-sized mammals. So we're seeing a big population drop in things like rabbits and raccoons and opossums and those types of things. And those guys all play a role in the ecosystem too. So what happens is you wind up changing the ecosystem with an animal like this. Biggest problem with them is they tried to do hunts with them. They've had people doing these contests. See how many of these snakes that you can get. And if you do find one, the law is you must bring it into Fisheries and Wildlife and they will euthanize it. They want to get rid of them. So they did this big thing. 2,000 people showed up for this hunt. And they got, I think, 10 or 15 snakes. They can hide so well. Look at this thing. If it's curled up in all the leaves and sticks and stuff, you're not going to be able to see it. It's going to camouflage. Even a snake this size. But the bigger problem is, where's the largest population of these guys? Everglades National Park. You cannot hunt in a national park. So they're at odds. They're saying, well, you know, if we have a hunt in the Everglades, we might be able to get rid of, or at least, you know, lower the population.